So, welcome to today's educational gathering. In this gathering, we discuss a topic of relevance to our everyday living. And I was sharing before we start talking on this note of getting recorded on the Hangout that I was hanging out with my radio this morning, and I was listening to a study of hospitals where they were talking to healthcare professionals and observing that as the amount of technology in the hospitals increases, so does the various kinds of equipments, and all equipment comes in with some kind of warning signs or a beep sound or something to alert a healthcare professional as to whether the IV is running out or the batteries are down or something else more serious is happening that they need to be addressing, and that the more equipment there are being gathered in the hospital setting, there are more noises and more beeps and more kind of alerts. When we were in residencies and hospital things, the most common noise was the overhead, somebody being paged for whatever matter, or somebody being called to a floor and so forth. And the most amount of noise was really in ICU settings or CCU settings because there were a lot more equipments. And in the usual floors, on the regular floors, you would have predominantly an IV running, and when it would run out, then the nurse was given a beep to come in and really kind of restart another IV or stop it and pull the IV out. Those were the most common things. And since that time, it seemed that there are more and more equipments. And the point was being made was that the more equipment there is, the more warning signs there are, and that there is a fatigue on the part of the healthcare providers to be able to discern which is a serious noise because they have so much of noise and beeps coming their way, and I could not tell the numbers. They were talking about how many beeps there are in a regular hospital due to now technology, and then the real dangerous things get missed. Just the way if you are driving all day long and you get tired, you're more likely to make errors. We also know, that pilot who landed on a different airport, maybe at 6 or 8 miles away, there must be a factor that he could not recognize that he was landing on a different airport. That could have been a very costly thing. So when the healthcare providers are fatigued and tired, they can cause costly mistakes, and so that was the issue at LA. And it reminded me of how important it is to, as healthcare providers, to be able to be in an optimal place of sleeping, being able to be attentive, and being able to care for the people who come in seeking their treatments. I wonder if you have any experiences to share when you were tired as a student or fatigued as a student and still had to do things.
I'm sure I've had a lot of experience with that. By the end of the day, sometimes you just need to go take a mental break before you can restart and actually absorb what you've learned throughout the day.
Yeah,
Or you
yeah.
just don't remember any of it at all.
We begin to phase out.
Yes.
Begin to phase out. So are you venturing to say that you're a human being and act like a person?
I'd hope so, yes.
Okay, so you're not a machine in the middle
No.
of all the other machines,
Mhm.
which can run for hours. We're not computers which can keep running. We as human beings become tired and fatigued, and our needs and things are very similar. Do you have any experience?
I was just going to say, towards the second half of the day, in all of my rotations, I can sense myself sort of phasing out, and you have to stop yourself and, at least pretend like you're enthusiastic because your mind is telling you want to sleep and take a break. And so I've definitely been through that. I'm sure we all have.
So in other words, your second half has started here too, right? I mean, it's like past
Yes.
12 o'clock.
Mhm.
Do you need a bedroom?
That would be nice. Really nice.
The phase out time, siesta, in
Yeah.
Spanish they are for siesta. For 3 hours they disappear, they're sleeping. Any kind of experiences as a healthcare provider, as a student that you can share?
Yeah, especially as a student. Last year in our didactic phase, you're in class all day. Sometimes you have a test in the morning for 2-3 hours, and then you class the rest of the day, and then you're supposed to go home and study for the next test. So you kind of just need to, you get a little bit exhausted. You need to give yourself a break.
Absolutely. So we're aware of the times when our mind begins to not be able to capture information in a meaningful manner and be as effective. Anything, James, you can think of?
Well, at times, some people slip in from being a human being to being a human doing, where we just go along with the flow and really aren't a participant. We're just there, doing, not being.
Absolutely. And being aware of our own, kind of state of affairs. Yeah. Anything, Steve, that you can?
I was thinking about being a human doing instead of human being at the end of a 12-hour shift in the emergency department overnight, around 7 o'clock in the morning. That's when I feel like I'm just doing, and I would have appreciated a room too.
A call room for myself. You want to share a bit about, where you're leading in your life and why you even came for this rotation?
The reason I came for this rotation was because I'm hoping to do child and adolescent psychiatry, specifically focused on autism spectrum disorders, but I'm a little more conservative when it comes to just doing medicine, so I wanted to look at the whole picture, the whole person. So when I was looking up rotations to do, I found this place and just how it offered not just medication but various therapies, and specifically I've really enjoyed nutritional aspects and yoga and things like that. So treating the whole person, it was interesting to me.
Yeah. And have you noticed anything within your own self that is different about you as a person by knowing and experiencing what we practice here?
Absolutely. Actually, last Tuesday, previous Tuesday, staying for DBT group, I got a skill to take home and was able to practice it immediately upon walking in the door. I technique, and it worked perfectly. So I've been able to utilize it a few times since.
What was that skill?
It's called Give. So basically, I was receiving what she was saying, listening to it, giving value to her opinion, and then expressing how I felt afterwards, and worked perfectly. So.
Okay.
Ended with "I love you" and a kiss. So perfect.
All right. So we as clinicians, so part of this really kind of segment of our conversation was recognizing that whether it's a soldier fighting a battle on the front end of our country, a pilot flying a plane, a healthcare nurse delivering a baby, or a nurse giving an IV, they all are human beings, and they all share the common theme of needing that perspective of really allowing us to be in a good place, and then thus being in a good space to be able to make good decisions, not based on fatigue, tiredness, fear, and worries, and just an instinctive brain, but more of a wise brain. And I think that we, as a cultural norm, have gotten ourselves so pushed up, we are competing with machines anymore. And we really cannot be mechanical. It just takes away the humanity of us. And so we want to regain just being human, and then being able to have an 8-hour sleep, and an 8-hour of effective working, an 8-hour social life, and going to Connellsville and riding a bike. Won't you say that?
Right,
in
because
good
that's what
time.
I do every
That's
day.
what you All right. So on that note, we'll kind of let go of this subject matter of technology and fatigue. And Mike is giving me some idea to make a statement. I just, in this place anymore, just make the statements what I'm told to make. Find out more at clear.com. Follow us on Google Plus for these videos, and to join us live Mondays at noon hours, so you can ask questions for us to answer during our discussion. These are just our everyday issues of life, which are not necessarily psychiatric disorders, but necessarily everyday living issues that we are addressing to be able to make them more palatable for everyday consumption, so that we can live in a healthful manner with our children, our families, our neighbors, and while in the car stuck in traffic. Thank you.